Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my Majestic Major Build series. Here we have the finished tailplane. Now, what I meant to do was take photos and small videos of this tailplane as it went together, but what you find is, as you get really stuck in with the build, you forget that you're trying to document it. Now, it is completely finished, and I'm very pleased with how this turned out. Unfortunately, I haven't documented it very well. I need to build the elevators really before I can cover it, because then I'll know how I need to make the tips of the tailplane turn very smoothly into the elevator here. But you'll get an idea of how it went together. Now I'm on the fuselage. Now the fuselage I'm going to try and document quite a bit better than I did the tailplane, but we are already, I've noticed, going to have a couple of problems in this area. One being we are missing this part. That's not a problem, I can make one quite easily. Two, none of the pre-cut parts fit at all. They are all going to need some form of doctoring to fit what the plan says they should be. So I'm going to cut out a few basic parts and find a way to get them stuck down perfectly, because on the fuselage it needs to be perfectly flat, and obviously you're building two of these fuselage panels, one for each side of the fuselage, so it needs to be smack on. So yeah, I'll cut a few pieces out and file them and show you how it should go together, and hopefully you'll get an idea of how the tailplane went together. So what you need to do here is take your stick of 1/4 by 5/16 balsa wood, place it on the plan where it needs to be, and then mark here with a pen or pencil. I prefer pen because pencil just crushes it before it leaves a mark. Where you need the cut to be. Here it needs to be cut because it's not a straight line on the fuse. It has to crack here. Then once you've marked your piece out, you want to either get a firm hold of the stick or grip it gently in a rubber vise. This does crush extremely easily. It's just important that you've got a firm grip on it and you can cut it 90 degrees to where you've marked perfectly. So once you've cut it to roughly the right length and then filed it to a nice finish and also the perfect length, you can cut another piece out, do exactly the same as you did with this piece, and glue it together here. I know it looks like a botched joint, but it's actually quite a good joint. It's just 1/4 by 5/16. It's not a square, and this way it's 5/16. That way it's a 1/4, so you end up with a little step here. This is going to be on the inside of the fuselage, so it'll look good from the outside still. And the reason it's been designed for this is to make the fuselage lighter, because what they found was with the long tail and a short nose, more weight in the tail means it's going to end up tail heavy, and you really don't want a tail heavy model. So that's pretty much all you do. And now I've got to do the rest of the fuselage, and then I've got to build two of them. Okay, so this is what I've got so far. Unfortunately, after the last video the timer stopped. I'm not quite sure why. I definitely didn't stop it, but I can tell you that it took about 45 minutes to an hour to get from what you saw in the last little clip to this. And I haven't sanded down any of the joints or filed anything yet, apart from making the joints fit properly. But what I'm going to do now is, obviously there's these cross members here to stiffen the airframe, but there are also little gussets here and here, and I'm going to put those in now, because what's happening is, as I'm working on this panel here, there's a little bit of a torsion effect on the joints that are already there, and they seem to want to break, and it just makes the job a little bit more difficult and a little bit slapstick in a way. So what I'm going to do now is just put the gussets in, just these two here and this one and maybe this piece here. I'm going to put all these vertical members in before I put the cross members in. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to see if it helps. Okay, so I'm now about 1.5 hours into the build of the fuselage, and obviously there's good progression, I'd say. Got the gussets in, and this, which is supposed to look like a window when it's all covered, I've had to put this cross member in now because the tension in the bend of the wood, which the plan shows, won't hold without this cross member here. But the rest of it's all been okay. This is a little bit of a warning about using super glues, also known as cyano glues. They dry very quickly, making the build more convenient, if you like, but they have a huge problem. It depends on where you use them on the build and the application it's for, but I found that for a lot of this build these have been quite brittle compared to the likes of PVA, and it doesn't just break at the joint, it seems to pull a chunk of balsa out with it, and I'm not sure why, but it's like as if it's soaking into the balsa and making parts of the balsa brittle, and then this balsa just rips out of the main stick. So just a warning, if it's going to be a high stress joint, I would use a longer drying glue that'll be better for the job.